the first library of parent functions. So the first parent function is going to be, let's start with this one. The first one is f of x equals c. This function is called constant function. This function is called constant function. The domain always for this function is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range is going to be the number c. That's it. This is the first one. If you have f of x equal 5, f of x equals 6, f of x equals 7, just a number. So this one is called constant function. If you check the graph for this one, the graph for this function is going to be like, for example, f of x equal -2. You see, this is constant function because this is just a number by itself. So here is -1, here is -2. So it's going to be just a line here. This is the graph of this function. If it's 5, it's going to be on this side. This function is called constant function. The second one, f of x equal x. f of x equal x. This function is called identity function. This function is called identity function. The domain from negative infinity to positive infinity, you can graph it. F of x equal x, graph it, you will see the domain from negative infinity to infinity and the range also from negative infinity to infinity. A simple graph for this function is going to be like this. Or here, it doesn't matter. The main thing is it's going to be like this line. So this is the second one. This is identity function. Like for example, you're just gonna graph f of x equal x because this is a function. It's going to be like this. The third one, let's do it here. Let's do this one. F of x equal x squared. X squared. Now we have this function. This function is called squared function. Squared function. The domain always negative infinity to positive infinity. The range for this function from 0 to infinity. Because if you graph it, the graph for this function is going to be like a parabola from this point and goes up. This is the graph of x squared, f of x equal x squared. The domain from negative infinity to positive infinity and the range from 0 to infinity. Number 4, that's what they're going to ask you. Number 4, let's do the f of x equal x cubed. X cubed is called a cubic function. Cubic function, the domain and the range always for this function from negative infinity to positive infinity, and also the range from negative infinity to positive infinity. The graph for this function always is going to be this side is up, like this, the same thing here, but this side goes down. So here is the first four functions. You have to know the graph of each function and the domain and the range. So number 5, this function is called square root function. Square root function, the domain for this function always from 0 to infinity, and the range, the same thing, from 0 to infinity. If you graph it, you will see the graph of this function is going to be like this. Number 6, let's do f of x equal the cubic root of x. So this one is called cubic root function. Cubic root, there is difference between this function or cubic function. This is a cubic root. Cubic root function. So the domain for this function always from negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range, the same thing. If you graph this function, this side is going to be exactly like here, but we have another side. So that's the difference between these two functions. Number 7, f of x equal 1 over x. This is called reciprocal function. This is important. Reciprocal function. The domain for this function is going to be from negative infinity to 0. The 0 is not include the interval, because if you plug in 0 here, 1 divided by 0 is going to be undefined. Union from 0 to infinity. That means all numbers except 0. The range is going to be the same. Union from 0 to infinity. If you graph this function, the graph of this function is going to be like this. And here is the other side. Number 8, if you have f of x equal absolute value of x. Absolute value of x. Absolute value, these two names, this is called absolute function. The domain for this function is negative infinity to infinity. And the range for this function is from 0 to infinity. If you graph this function, it's going to be like this. Like a V. Number 9, the last function, which is the linear function. Let's do it here. It's f of x equal ax plus b. This is called linear function. And the domain for this function is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. The range, the same thing. And we can't graph this one because we have to choose a function. So it's easier to graph. Like example for this function, is f of x equal 3x plus 4. This is a function, a part of the linear function. To graph it, you have to let x equal 0 to find the y, or y equals 0 to find the x. Then you're going to get 2 points to graph it. It's going to be a line. Or you can choose 2 points, plug in these 2 points instead of x to find the y. Then you're going to graph the points to find the graph for this function. So we have to know these functions and the graph and the name, the domain, the range for all these functions, which is 9 functions. If you look to the first questions here, they ask you f of x equal x. This function is the second one. So it's going to be the identity function. So we're just going to choose the identity function. 1 over x, which number 1 over x? It's the reciprocal function. So we're going to choose the reciprocal function. X squared, this is the squared function. Number 4, this is the square root function. That's the difference, square root function. Number 5, f of x equals c. This is constant. So this is constant function. This is the first one. So if you go here, the first one is the constant function. F of x equals c, the constant function. Let's keep going. F of x equal absolute value of x. Exactly like number 8, the absolute function. So we're going to choose the absolute value function. Number 7, x cubed. This is similar to the x cubed. Number 4. So here's number 4, the cubic function. So we're going to choose the cubic function. Number 8 is going to be ax plus b, which is the linear function. So for example 9, this is different type of questions. We need to find the linear function. And if you check that, we have f to the 1 equal 2, and we have f to the 0 equal 9. And we already know how to look like the graph of the linear function. The graph of the linear function, f of x equal ax plus b. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the first point. So I'm going to say f to the x equal ax plus b. This is x, this is y. That means this is f of x. So f to the 1 equal a times 1 plus b. So it's going to be f to the 1 equal 2. So this is 2. I'm going to cancel the whole thing and write down 2 equal a times 1 is going to be a plus b. So this is the first equation. Now I'm going to plug in, use the second part here. So I'm going to say f of x equal ax plus b. Now f of x, here is f to the 0 equal. That means x equals 0. So a times 0 plus b. F of 0 equal 9 equal, cancel here because a times 0 is going to be 0 equal b. So this is the second part. 9 equal b. I'm going to plug in this one here. So 2 equal a plus b. 2 equal a equal plus b equal 9. Now I need to solve this one to find the value of a. So minus 9 from both sides. That means a is going to be equal -7. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and say f of x equal ax plus b. So the linear function is going to be a equal -7, x plus b is 9. So that's it for this example. And then we're going to graph it. So I'm going to type here -7x plus 9. Again, 7x plus 9. And let's graph it. So the first point, how are we going to graph this one? I'm going to graph these points because this is the x and here is the y. And this is the x and here is the y. So I can graph these 2 points. Here's the first point, 1, 2. So I'm going to click 1, 2. And the second point is 0, 9. Here's 0, 9. So here's the graph of this function. Let's keep going on the next part, how to graph the piecewise function. That's really important. So let's check how we're going to graph a piecewise function. So the first thing, do these steps exactly the same thing. So we're gonna create a table. This one is going to be the value of x, and here is going to be the value of y. Or let's write down the point here, x, y, and here's going to be the value of y. So the first thing, this is piecewise function. That means I have 2 pieces. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna put a dashed line here in the middle to graph. The first piece is going to be here and the second piece is going to be here. So check these 2 conditions. They say x less than or equal -5, and here's -5. So I'm gonna put -5 here and -5 here. So you see these 2 points? I'm gonna write down, this is for the first piece, this is for the second piece. Now I need to choose a number here, and I need to choose a number here for the second piece. How are we gonna choose these 2 numbers? It says x less than -5. That means I need to choose a number less than -5. Any number here, less than -5, -6, -7, -8, it doesn't matter. So let's choose -7. Then for the second piece, I need to choose a number greater than -5. I can choose -4, -3, -2, -1. I can choose the 0. The 0 is the easiest number. So I can choose the 0. Now let's look to the first piece. We're going to plug in these 2 numbers to the first piece. So I'm going to plug in -7 plus 5. And it's going to be -2. So the first point is going to be -7 and -2. Let's plug in the second point, which is -5 on the first piece. So it's going to be -5 plus 5, and the result is going to be 0. So the second piece is going to be -5 and y is 0. Always keep in your mind, these 2 points is going to be here near the dashed line, is going to be the start point. So this is the start point, and here is going to be the other start point. There is equal sign here. That means this one is going to be start point, but a closed circle. So this is the start point, and this is the direction point. So always these 2 points is going to be the start point, the one near the dashed line. Now I'm done from the first piece. I'm going to the second one. I'm going to plug in -5 on the second piece here. So it's going to be half times -5 minus 4. This one is going to be equal. Half times -5 is going to be -5 over 2 minus 4. I can write down the 4 over 1 And then I'm gonna get the same denominator, so multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So this one is going to be negative 5 over 2 minus 8 over 2, which is equal negative 13 over 2. So this point is going to be negative 5 and negative 13 over 2. For the second point, I'm going to plug in the 0 on the second part. Plug in the 0 here. So it's going to be half times 0 minus 4, which is equal negative 4. So here is the second point, 0, negative 4. Again, we can't plug in fraction. We can't plug in a fraction in when we graph it. So divide this one, negative 5, negative 13 divided by 2 is going to be negative 6.5. This is easier to graph. This is also a start point. So how are we going to find this point? It's a start point. There is no equal sign here, so it's going to be open circle. If there is equal sign, it's going to be closed circle. No equal sign is going to be open circle. So now we have 2 points for the first part and 2 points for the second one. Let's grab the first one. So the first one, here's the point. The first point is going to be, this is the start point, negative 5, 0. So where is negative 5? Here is negative 5, which is the x, 0. So this is the start point. The second point is negative 7, 2. Negative 2, sorry, negative 7, negative 2. So here is negative 7, negative 6, negative 7, and negative 2 is going down. So I'm going to put the second point, and you'll see the graph goes to the infinity from this side. This is the start point. Here is the second point, and the graph is going to keep going down. So I'm done from the first part of this function. I'm going to go to the second one, the start point, and here's the second point. This is the start point. So let's grab the start point. This is important because it's negative 6.5. So the x is negative 5. So here is negative 5. Negative 6.5. I can't put, here is negative 6. I can't put the point between. I can't put the point between. So here is the 6, 6.5. You can't plug in the point here. It's going to be only negative 5, negative 6, negative 5, and negative 6. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the whole line. I'm going to go here. It says ray 2. This is the ray 2. No. So we have to keep going. So here's the first point. Let's grab the second point, 0 point negative 4. Here is 0, negative 4, 0, negative 4 is going to be here. That means this is the second graph. But this, the coordinate for this point is different than this one. Is negative. In fact, there's 2 and 3. It's going to be negative 5 and negative 6.5. So let's check this one. Negative 5, the first point, and the second point is negative. Check what's going to happen. Negative 6.5. And I'm going to choose an open circle. So that's it. So this one is going to be, I don't need to put another point. So let's check it. So here is the first point line, and here is the second one. Start from this point, negative 6.5, and keep going. This is extra point. See, that's it. We're gonna do exactly the same thing for the next example. This example, you already have 4 choices. You have to graph this one, and you're going to get which one is going to be the right graph. Example 12, that's different because we have 3 pieces. Let's try to graph this one on a paper, then we're going to check which one is going to be the right option. So for example 12, this function is a piecewise function. In fact, this is h to the x, which is the same thing. But we have 3 parts for this function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this table to 3 parts. Here is the first part. And here is the second part. This is how to graph it, but we already have 4 choices. But let's check how it's going to be the graph. So the first part, you see -2 and start from -2. So here is -2 and here is another -2. And then end, the second part end on 0 and the third part start from 0. Let's look to the first part. We need to choose a number less than -2. Let's choose -4. For the second part, I already have 2 points, so I don't need to choose another point. That's it. For the third part, we need to choose a number greater than 0. Let's choose 2. Now we have x's for all parts. The next step, we just need to pick which one is going to be the right option by finding the y value. So let's plug in these 2 numbers here. The first one is going to be 4 minus -4 squared. So it's going to be 4 minus 16, and it's going to be -12. So it's going to be -4 and -12. That means it's going to be down, like here on this side. The second one, -2, plug in -2 here. So it's going to be 4 minus -2 squared. So it's going to be 4 minus 4, and it's going to be 0. So it's going to be -2 and 0. Check now. I have 2 points for the first part. There's no equal sign. This is the start point because it's near the dash line. So it's open circle. Now let's work on the second part. I'm going to plug in these 2 numbers on the second part. So this one is going to be 6 plus -2, and it's going to be 4. So this point is going to be -2 and 4. The second point, I plug in the 0 here. So it's going to be 6 plus 0, and it's going to be 6. So the second point is going to be 0 and 6. Check. This one with the 2, there's equal sign. So this is a closed circle. With the 0, there's no equal sign. So this one is open circle. I'm done from the second part. Let's check the third part. We're going to plug in these 2 numbers on the third part. So this one is going to be 0 squared plus 1, and the result is 1. So this point is 0, 1. Then I plug in 2 here. So it's going to be 2 squared plus 1, and the result is going to be 5. So it's going to be 2 and 5. Again, there's equal sign here with the 0. So this one is going to be closed circle. So now we have to check. We're going to graph these points, and we're going to get the right graph, but let's check how it's going to be if we compare these points. The first point, this is the start point, -2 and 0. So check here is -2, which is open circle. And the second point is -4, -12. X is -4, and -12 is going to keep going down because here is -5. So this is the right one. This is a right piece because it started from -2 and keep going down to this side. This is wrong because this is a closed circle. This is wrong because this one is on the other side. This is wrong because it goes to the other side. So I can't choose these two graphs. I can't choose this one because it's a closed circle. We're supposed to have open circle. Let's check the other pieces. -2 and 4. So here is -2 and keep going. This is 5, this is 4. Closed circle, so this is a closed circle. 0, 6, here is 0 and here is 6. It's an open circle, so this is the right piece, the second piece. The third piece is 0, 1. Here is 0, 1 and it's a closed. The second one is going to be 2, 5. So here is the 2. If you go up here, it's going to be here is going to be the 5. So 2 and 5. So this is the right option. We're going to choose this one. That's it for this section.